Police were searching the Des Moines River today after a man reportedly fell in. Local 5's Emma Stroiner is out there right now with the latest details from authorities. Emma, what have you learned?
Just after 9 a.m. this morning, police say witnesses told them a 49-year-old man fell into the Des Moines River from a boat dock here at Prospect Park. Now, after first responders received the call, the police say they deployed their water emergency team and started their search using boats, sound technology, and a drone. They say they searched over an hour and were unsuccessful. And due to rapid currents and debris concerns, they have stopped the search and will continue at another time. Now, Sergeant Paul Parizek says the police department strongly advises people to use caution on or around rivers in the area, in that debris and currents can present dangers that can be unpredictable. We will be following this story and we'll let you know of any details as soon as we hear of them, as the investigation is ongoing. Live in Des Moines, I'm Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.
Loud thunder, that heavy rain, that certainly made quite the spectacle overnight.
Absolutely, and strong storms moved across the metro while many of us were sleeping. It left behind wet roads, like Joseph's been talking about, ahead of the extreme heat that's coming our way today. So let's check in with our Megan McPherson. She's live in the Local 5 Storm Tracker. Megan, I know power outages have been a big issue this morning. What are you seeing on the roads right now?
Yeah, hey, Dana and Joseph, we're heading west right now on Southeast University Avenue here in Waukee, and we're seeing a little bit of everything this morning. So some of the streetlights have come back on here, but just up ahead, you'll see in just about 15 seconds or so, we are monitoring a situation where there is an entire row of power lines off to the left side of your screen. And again, we're going to get closer here so you can take a look, but that have basically toppled over because of those heavy winds overnight, in addition to the rain, and that is causing widespread power outages in this area. Some of these street lights up ahead, actually the one right in front of us here, you can see that there are no lights on the stoplight right here. So poses a bit of a dangerous situation for drivers in the area, many of which have been kind of confused this morning when they're driving, because as you can see, there's not even a blinking red light to indicate that you need to stop. So certainly a dangerous situation that crews are working to restore power for. Take a look at some of this video that you can see a closer look of those toppled power lines that crews are working again to get back up right now to be able to restore power in this area. Pretty crazy, the fact that it basically toppled not just one, but an entire row here. And there is also, I believe this is 94th Street up here in the area, that is also closed down because one of those power lines is spread across the street. There are live wires that are across the street in that area, and there is a police car blocking that area as well. So that's what you're seeing in that video there.
Power is back on for tens of thousands in the Des Moines area after storms rolled through last night. Local 5's J.D. Snover spoke with Mid-American Energy to learn more about that process.
Early this morning, the number of folks without power ballooned above 32,000. The utility says the process of restoring power somewhat begins before the storms even move through. Just like you and I, they keep an eye on that forecast and they're able to plan ahead.
We often will pre-stage crews, so we'll move crews to areas where the weather is forecasted to be the worst, so that as soon as the storms do pass and we can assess damage and safely get out there, our crews can go to work. They don't have to drive from far away, right? They're ready to go.
Now, once those storms pass, crews deal with any damage to power lines and anything else that might be in the way as necessary before going to work. Mid-American says they had over 200 people out working to restore the power throughout the day today. And with that possibility of more storms throughout central Iowa tonight, the process of planning has already restarted, Stephanie.
Tomorrow marks 1 year since Iowa's abortion law went into effect. It was originally approved in a special session in 2023, but it faced a series of legal challenges. The law is one of the strictest in the U.S. and bans abortion once cardiac activity is detected. That's typically around 6 weeks. Local 5's Alex Fulton is at the state capitol with the impact from both sides of the aisle.
Before the current abortion law, there were roughly 360 abortions performed per month in the state. Now there are roughly 250 procedures. That's according to the Guttmacher Institute, a nonprofit that supports abortion rights.
So we did see rather an immediate impact of the 6-week ban on caseload provision.
Post-abortion law, the number of Iowans traveling out of state for an abortion increased significantly. The Guttmacher Institute reports that it went from 1,080 Iowans in 2023 to 1,530 in 2024.
An abortion ban in one state absolutely affects the abortion care infrastructure in other places. We are seeing increases in caseloads in neighboring states, not just Iowa, but to other states that border those that have implemented abortion bans.
There are 3 states they typically travel to, including Minnesota, Nebraska, and Illinois.
To the extent that folks are not able to access their preferred method of abortion care, this is very common healthcare. And made it more difficult to access. I think that's a big problem.
But it was a huge victory.
Maggie DeWitty with Pulse Life Advocates pushed legislators to pass the current abortion law.
It saved countless numbers of babies, and we're going to keep moving forward until we can protect all life from the moment of fertilization.
She says that next legislative session, her organization will advocate for more regulations on abortion pills.
It's a real danger to Iowa women and families, and so we're going to work forward this next legislative session to look at putting some safeguards and common sense protocols around these dangerous abortion pills.
In the past year, Planned Parenthood has closed 4 of its Iowa clinics. That leaves the Iowa City and Des Moines ones as the only ones still in operation. From the state capitol, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
CBS Foods in Ottumwa laid off roughly 200 immigrant workers after their work visas were revoked. The immigrants are facing deportation to their home countries, which include Haiti, Cuba, and Nicaragua. Local 5's Alex Fulton traveled to Ottumwa to find out how the mass layoffs are affecting the community.
The layoffs at JBS Foods are expected to not only impact one of Ottumwa's largest employers, but also families who've lived in this community.
Fear, sadness, and shock.
Bailey Johnson with LULAC Ottumwa says that's the way JBS Foods workers feel after their employer asked them to self-deport.
I think a lot of people are just shocked that by coming here legally, they now are considered undocumented.
LULAC Ottumwa has assisted the workers who were also laid off with legal services and coming up with a plan for their departure.
Many of these countries, there's risk of violence and gangs, and there's other forms of risk that they may face as they return. So we're really just helping them with that.
Johnson says that some of the workers have established families and spent decades living in the community.
This immigrant from Honduras came here in 1999 after a Hurricane Mitchell, destroyed or devastated the country of Honduras.
This is a really unfortunate situation.
Mark Rowe with Ottumwa's Chamber of Commerce estimates that the layoffs are close to 10% of the JBS plant's total workforce.
Some of them have started the process of opening businesses with their families in the community. Obviously, that's going to not happen now. They're spending dollars in the community, so those dollars are going to be gone.
Johnson says that some of the workers have kids born in the U.S. and it's unclear what will happen to them once their parents self-deport.
I really want people to understand that these people are just like myself and so many others in this community who want to just live a good, healthy life.
Ottumwa Mayor Rick Johnson previously stated that he believes JBS Foods is offering the immigrant workers $1,000 to assist with self-deportation. In Ottumwa, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Well, we've seen a lot of storm damage across parts of Iowa the past few weeks as overnight severe weather has been common. Des Moines police say one neighborhood on the city's east side took some of the worst damage from those storms. Local 5's Megan McPherson was there this morning and shows us the destruction they're dealing with.
Here in the Accent neighborhood on the east side of Des Moines, fallen trees, narrowly missing homes, down power lines blocking the roadway. All of this damage around me, a sign of the powerful storm that came through this area last night.
Suzanne Wickham has lived in her home on State Avenue for nearly 60 years, but says the impact of this storm stands out.
We were really special. I mean, it was a fairly small area that was devastated.
Straight line winds bringing down dozens of tree limbs and disconnecting power lines for the entire block.
I mean, even when the derecho came through in 2020 and we had branches down, it was nothing like this.
Mid-American crews working all day to restore power for the nearly 300 people impacted. Homeowners here mostly avoided structural damage. But just a block south, we found this rental house partially crushed by an uprooted tree. The owner says there were people inside at the time, but thankfully everyone made it out safely. They're now on the hook for cleanup and waiting to learn if the home is a total loss.
And being just a block away from the state fairgrounds, a lot of people here host fairgoers. So the goal is to get all of this damage cleaned up by day 1, which is next Thursday. In Des Moines, Megan McPherson, Local 5 News.
For the past several weeks, a corn disease called southern rust has been spreading across Iowa. Local 5's Alex Fulton is in Maxwell with why it's especially bad this year.
According to the Crop Protection Network, southern rust is already in 40 Iowa counties. The corn disease isn't very typical for Iowa, but if it is here, it usually emerges in mid to late August.
Each one of these spots is a rust particle.
Agronomist Dan Bjorklund with Landis says southern rust will appear as yellow dots on cornstalk leaves.
They call them pustules that are the initial infection on the leaf. They'll send out spores and they go up the plant.
If left untreated, the spores can spread through the stalk and impact up to 50% of its yield.
This year, I think it was the southern winds the week of the 4th that blew it up. And then we've had warm, wet conditions, which it loves, and I think that's why we're seeing what we're seeing today.
Out of all of the foliar diseases, or out of all of the corn diseases, this is the one that spreads the quickest.
Darren Mueller with Iowa State Extension says that southern rust thrives in places like Texas and Mexico, where it's typically warm year-round.
This particular disease can't survive on dead tissue. It has to survive on living tissue. So in Iowa, as soon as we get a frost and all the corn plants are harvested, it resets.
If southern rust is found in a field, corn farmers can still protect their stalks that aren't infected by spraying fungicide.
If we use the analogy of a human being, if you get sick, you take an antibiotic for 10 days to try to knock it out. And so you're hoping the fungicide for about 2 weeks will help knock it out.
Sometimes spraying fungicide doesn't stop the spread of southern rust. If active spores are still on the leaves after 2 to 3 weeks, experts recommend spraying another round of fungicide. In Maxwell, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Des Moines Water Works announced today that 400 homes will be getting lead service line replacements in the Drake neighborhood. Local 5's Emma Stroner is in studio. And Emma, what details can you tell us?
Yeah, Larissa, the 400 homes all reside within the area behind me. That's between 17th and 28th Street and spanning from University Avenue to I-235.
Des Moines Water Works is proud to announce that we are launching the first official phase of our lead service line replacement program.
The first phase, costing an estimated $4 million, will provide 400 homes with free lead service line replacements. Des Moines Water Works CEO Amy Kaler says lead pipes pose threat to the city.
Lead pipes are a liability as long as they are in the ground.
The money will come from the state's revolving fund, and Kaler says the funds are made more accessible from Congressman Zach Nunn's legislation titled Safe Drinking Water for Disadvantaged Communities. Des Moines Mayor Connie Boesen says this initiative promotes safe drinking water for Drake area residents.
It's about public health and ensuring drinking water, a service critical to our community, is taken care of.
One resident in the area says because of the impacts to drinking water, he's happy to see a potentially healthier neighborhood.
Health is one of the most important things we can do for ourselves, and having this done to improve our health was absolutely beneficial.
The first phase of this program will start in October, and within the next month, eligible homeowners will be contacted by Des Moines Water Works for next steps. Des Moines Water Works says we have about 1,000 lead lines here in Des Moines, and with this program, that number will drop. Larissa?
Well, with a week till the state fair, food vendors are busy getting everything in working order for fairgoers. Local 5's Alex Fulton is live from the fairgrounds with a look at preparations there. Alex?
Well, Larissa, if you've driven through here recently, you've probably noticed that the grounds are getting closer and closer to welcoming fairgoers. You can just see it with all of the food stands set up here behind me. Today, I met with a pair of vendors on what they've been up to the past few weeks. Owner Spencer Oz and his staff at Isabel Burke Saltwater Taffy are setting up their food stand and building its display counter.
I've been doing it since I was 11, and I grew up watching my parents do it, so I pretty much just picked up where they left off.
This year, prep began back on July 4th to make around 4,000 pounds of taffy.
We have a storage trailer up there that we actually have some pre-made because we sell it faster than we can make it, since we make it the old-time way.
Isabel Burke Saltwater Taffy has been in business at the fair since 1920.
Taffy's, it's actually stayed the same. It's the same recipe, so we haven't really changed much except for the flavors at the end.
Ahead of Blue Ribbon Bar and Eatery's first fair, crews are assembling coolers to keep the beer between 22 to 24 degrees.
Nice stage here that we built in. This was a slushy bar when we took over.
The full-service restaurant is in the space that used to house Stierenstein.
It's got a lot of blue in it. You just want to make a big statement piece with it.
Right now, it's the calm before the storm because a week from now, both vendors will be working long hours.
I think your goal is always to provide somebody to have a great memory that they walk away with. And we got to still be standing when we get done with 10 days here at the Iowa State Fair.
Now, Isabel Burke Saltwater Taffy will open once the fair starts next Thursday, but Blue Ribbon is actually opening up before then. The restaurant will welcome its first guests this Monday. Live from the fairgrounds, Alex Fulton, Local 5 News.
Thank you, Alex. And with the State Fair almost here, Local 5 is here to make sure you can be ready to have a fun experience. For all the information you need, including times, tickets, entertainment, parking, and more, text FAIR to see the number on your screen there. It will direct you right to our full State Fair guide. Well, tonight marks the first day of the 360 Knoxville Nationals. Local 5's Emma Stroner saw many new faces, and the town sees them a lot this year.
Tonight is the first round of qualifying for the 360 Knoxville Nationals, featuring dozens of teams in the town and at the track. This weekend draws thousands to Knoxville, visitors and racers alike. Local businesses are feeling the impact of the larger crowd, including family-owned restaurant Casa Grande.
Foot traffic's insane. Like, they'll be walking around looking at all the shops and then getting a bite to eat, and you really can tell the increase of just customers.
To prepare for the influx of people, owners of Casa Grande say they hire extra staff and stock up on ingredients so they don't run out of food. They're not the only business feeling the community support. AJ Moddett has owned Dingus Lounge for 23 years and says Knoxville residents welcome visitors with open arms.
People are really, really gracious and open to people coming in, and the relationships they build last a lifetime.
He says owning a bar means more than just the business it brings.
I'm not just an owner of a business. This is my life. That's how I live down here. Racing is what brought me here.
With a smaller population, Knoxville racing makes a big name for itself in the town. It's clear that this time of the year is impactful for the Knoxville community. In Knoxville, I'm Emma Stroner, Local 5 News.